all the way up to Cape Cod. Oh, how are we going to do that?
I don't know. 40 years is a long time to talk about on a video.
Well, welcome once again to the Big B and Little T channel. I am the Big B and
I'm the Little T.
And today is a special video because we are actually on this day celebrating our 40th year of being married.
Woo.
And you know, when you think about 40 years, we tried to think about all the different things we have done, and it's just like most people's lives, it's overwhelming. So we decided to break this video up into 3 separate parts. So part 1 that we're going to talk about is pre-family. So that would be from the time we met to the time we started having a family. Then there's going to be a middle section that's going to involve all the times that we had with our kids growing up and all the things that, not all the things, but some of the things that happened during those years. And then lastly, it will be the time after the kids have left, and maybe call it empty nesting. And so there's no way for us to relay all of the things that have happened to us, but ultimately it's been a great 40 years. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of adventures, and we're just super proud of not us, but our family and our kids and all the people that have helped us and supported us along the way, because it has been a fun time. So Tina's going to take it and talk a little bit, and I'll intersperse a few things, some of our pre-family time.
Yes, and enjoy the pictures. We've gone back into the archives. Brian scanned all of our albums during 2020. There's a video of him doing that I can put a link to up in the corner, and that just made it really easy because he had them all grouped into albums. So enjoy those pictures while we just chat about what's happened in 40 years. So we first met in August of 1977. Our gymnastics coach was having a photo session out at Boomer Lake in Stillwater, and Brian was getting his picture made with all the other boy gymnasts, and then the girl gymnasts, even new freshmen like me, were also invited to have our picture made. So we met there. I don't actually recall a meeting. I do remember there was a pre-week of gymnastics workouts, and Brian was helping as a coach since he was a senior, and I think we met then.
Oh, I'm sure we met then.
Yeah, you probably spotted me.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, it didn't take long for me to notice this really good gymnast who's a senior, and it's one of those things where you tell your best friends who you like, but I never let on that I liked him, because seniors don't date freshmen, and freshmen aren't supposed to like seniors. It seems like 3 years is such a huge gap during that time, but we didn't actually start dating until I was a junior and he was already in college.
Right, and a lot of things happened even from the time we started dating to the time we got married. I mean, one thing I can remember is we celebrated Tina's 18th birthday out at her house, and we took some funny pictures of her, because at that time it was legal to drink alcohol, and I remember us buying a beer and had some funny pictures of that. We also, I just remember even dating, we just took tons of pictures. We would go to Keystone Lake and get up early to try to take sunrise pictures, or to Theta Pond and take pictures. And back then, of course, you had to develop all those pictures, so I have no idea how we even had the money to even do that. But that's one thing that we did. We also, I remember we went camping a couple of times. We went to Colorado, I think once.
And a skunk tried to get in our car. We had to sleep in our car one night because the skunk came up to the door, and we couldn't shut our door all the way because the cooler was blocking the door, and we just knew we were going to get sprayed. It was our very first night to be there, but luckily it didn't. But we put the hatch down. I had a Mercury Bobcat, it was kind of like a Ford Pinto, and we slept in the back of it that night.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a little awkward just because I was in college and she was in high school, so we kind of had to get through that period. But kudos to her parents for, letting us date.
Yeah, one funny story then was Brian would drive out to see me, and we would just kind of hang out at my mom and dad's house, sometimes play computer games, Atari, on the television with my dad, but this one particular night it had snowed really bad and Brian drove and he almost slid off the road, so he parked kind of a little ways away and walked the rest of the way to my house, which is kind of up a curvy hill. And when he got there, my dad said, "Come over here and stand by the fire so you can get warmed up." Well, Brian was blazing hot because he'd been digging out his car, but he still stood by the fire because he was being the good boyfriend.
Yeah, you have to do what you have to do. I'm thinking the time that, well, I guess it was the only time that I ever asked you to marry me.
That's nice. I said yes the first time.
Yeah, we went to a park that was a few blocks from my house.
We'd walked a Quick Trip.
Yeah, we'd gone to Quick Trip to get something to drink, and I had the ring in my pocket and I think I had some M&Ms or something, and kept fiddling with it. And then, I guess it's not the most romantic, but it's pretty typical of me, pretty typical of us. Even today, our 40th anniversary, we're really not going to probably do too much. We went out and got a coffee and a muffin, and that's just kind of who we are. But it was fun. I mean, so we got married young.
Yes.
I mean, at least a lot of people thought we were young. I was 22 and Tina was 19, and
Sophomore year of college.
Yeah, neither one of us were finished with college. I had one more semester. But looking back on it, that was you always say that after the fact, but it was really a lot of fun, really. And we were blessed because my mom and her parents, ended up helping us. Not that we ever asked for it, but I mean, we had things like the heater go out, and the air conditioning go out in the house that my mom was letting us live in for basically virtually rent-free while we were going to college. So there was a lot of help financially to help us get through those initial years. But it was a fun time, and then we, of course, got after the engagement, we got pictures taken at Theta Pond, and it was just it was a fun time. Looking back on it, I can't believe we got married between semesters, and we put the pressure on. We didn't think about it at that time because you only think about yourself when you're about that age. I graduated, and I got a job in Stillwater teaching, and Tina continued to do her schoolwork. And we, continued to make it, and then she graduated, about a year and a half after I think we got married?
Yeah, in December of '84.
Yeah, and so at that point I had been teaching 2 years, and we decided that it was time to look elsewhere, like maybe to get an advanced degree because we didn't have a family yet. It was a little selfish, I suppose, because Tina was ready to work and I was ready to go on to grad school. But somehow we came to an agreement, and we moved. We ended up moving to Morgantown, West Virginia. I got accepted into West Virginia University's program, and we actually lived in a sorority house for the first year to save money because we could live there rent-free.
Like house parents, very young house parents.
Yeah, we were young house parents. That was quite an experience. And just living away from family for the first time was kind of interesting. We got our first car there, and then we ended up moving to another place in Morgantown for a semester, which was a very interesting place.
Very small.
Small, and just not the best place, but a typical grad student kind of place. And then the very last semester we moved to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I got an internship there, and that was probably one of the most unique times I think we ever had. I had never even seen the ocean or anything, and we lived there.
We could jog to the ocean.
Yeah, we could jog to the ocean. You could see the ocean. We lived through
heights.
Yeah, we lived through 2 of the worst blizzards that they ever had in 100 years while we were there, and it was it was interesting, and it was just fun to have that experience. And again, that's what this 40 years is about, is just journey and adventures and all of those kinds of things. Ultimately, we decided to come back to Stillwater, and both of us got teaching jobs and worked for a year or 2, and then decided to start having a family. And I talked to somebody the other day, and I said, we're one of those couples that has been very blessed in many, many ways, but one of the ways we've been blessed is that when we decided to start having a family, we had a family. There wasn't any delay there.
In a month or 2,
yeah.
Every time we thought, well, maybe we should go ahead and try.
Right, so we were very blessed that everything was kind of planned out in that regard. So that takes us up to kind of our family time. So we really had about 6 years of time together being married, and then 2 to 3 years of dating. So we had a lot of us time before we actually started to raise our family, which again was very planned and and worked out exactly the way that we had hoped and planned for, which is not always the case for some people.
Right. Yeah. So Zach was our first child. He was born in December of 1988 and was actually the first boy grandbaby on either side. So that was an experience. Had quite a long labor, and finally I ended up begging the nurse to ask the doctor, can I please have a cesarean? It just was to the point where I was about ready to give up, but he decided to make his way into the world in that way.
And then Brienne came along in 1994, and we had thought originally maybe of having 4 kids, but Tina had C-sections on all 3, so we decided to hold off on the 3. Brienne always says she's glad we decided for the 3rd. So we were just like most families, we were making it. We never went without. But we didn't have a lot of extra money. We always had, be careful of car problems and refrigerators going out, and asking her dad to help us with some construction and, those kinds of things. But those were years, homeschooling years, that, definitely for Tina, obviously I wasn't there all the time during the day, but it really helped us, become a cohesive unit. And those are the best, I don't say the best years, but those are just great years of sitting around the table at night and reading together and doing the things that they did during the day. With that comes consequences. I mean, obviously Tina didn't, she was pretty isolated and working with the kids, and I was at work a lot just because of, that's what I needed to do. And then she ended up taking multiple part-time jobs, and then I'd be home. You just make do. That's the reality. And none of it was anything that we regretted. They all did, well actually we all did Taekwondo. There's a lot of advantages to homeschooling. I was thinking back, not just binding our family, but we were able to travel a little bit. We went on a trip, we called it Out West, but we took off for a month, and I was able to work remotely.
Yeah, it was in September.
Yeah, which was unusual at that time. I worked for my brother-in-law. Eventually I moved out of the VOTEC and out of the teaching field and started to work with my brother-in-law.
Yeah, we lived in Arizona for almost a year in '97.
Yeah, we moved away.
And it was easy because the kids were homeschooled. We didn't have to worry about pulling them out of school or enrolling them in school. And that was just truly an adventure.
Yeah, it was. And so Zach ended up homeschooling all the way through, and then Kylie went to high school in the 10th grade, and Brienne went to high school in the 8th grade. And, partly Brienne went to high school, to 8th grade.
She went to junior high and then high school.
Yeah, because she was left kind of alone, and then Tina had been offered a job at Life Church, and I had started to work at Life Church, and things just, slowly started to change. Yeah, and I was thinking that, Zach and Kylie actually graduated from college in the same year, the same time, and within a week, Zach moved to New York. And you could do a whole video on that, considering he'd never ridden in a cab or anything like that, and we put him on there, and he did it, and he's been there now 10 plus years. Kylie moved to Arizona
at the end of that same month.
Lived with my sister for a while until she got settled in. So that left Brienne, and eventually Brienne graduated from Oklahoma State as well, and then got accepted at Rice University down in Texas. So she moved away, and then that that brings brought us to a point of like being quote official empty nesters, which we're empty nesters like most parents on a day-by-day basis, but we're still parents.
Yes.
They're still our kids. We're still kind of involved in their lives, but try to give them as much freedom as they so desire. So empty nesting, a lot of the empty nesting for us was we ran a coffee shop for 13 years, a ministry for 13 years. We spent a lot of time there, a lot of energy there. It was really our life.
It was Groundhog Day pretty much every day, except our customers made each day new. So
last July, we made the transition from the bakehouse, which was our coffee shop, and turned it over to some younger people. And we actually decided to move to Kentucky. And again, you can see some of those videos and why we did that. And now we are pretty much empty nesters. And,
except for our dog, Lucy.
Yeah, and so we're not really quote retired. We came here and we did rest for a while. I recently accepted a job at Western Kentucky University, and Tina is still staying home right now, but she does lots of things at home, or maybe we'll decide to do some part-time or full-time work sometime in the future.
Yeah.
We're kind of in those transitional years where we're not really ready to quote retire, and we're not even of the age of retirement.
Right.
But we also just wanted to slow down a little bit. So
yeah.
it's been 40 years. well, it's just a journey. It's an adventure. It's not like every single moment was marvelous.
It's a normal marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a normal marriage and normal parenting and difficult moments and challenges and all those kinds of things. But the reality is, when you look at the big picture is, we've had a wonderful time together, lots of fun adventures. Looking back through those pictures are just funny and awesome, and funny stories in each one, and sometimes sad things that have happened, like Tina's parents passing away, just things like that it's just life. And sometimes you don't know how you're going to get through them, but you get through them together. And we hope that our legacy really with our kids and with other people is, you just stick together. And you stick together and you do it, and you have a good time doing it.
And you're grateful. You just look for things to be grateful for each and every day, even if it's kind of a icky day. You can still find something to be grateful for, and keep looking forward.
Yeah, and we hope that, I don't think we're going to get 40 more years, but as many more years as we possibly can, and enjoy our time together as empty nesters, and watching our kids grow and get married, or
Zach's already married.
Yeah, Zach's already married, but explore, whatever passions that they have in life, whether it's Kylie, doing her ultra marathon training, or Brienne pursuing her musical interests and those kind of things. So that to me is, I told somebody that the other day, the joy of where we are in life right now is sitting back and watching our kids really flourish and grow, and see them, all of their hard work, and now some of the successes that they're beginning to see.
Right now we don't have any grandchildren, but we have grand cats and grand dogs, so we enjoy seeing them, and we're just a week away from getting together with everybody back in Oklahoma, whether they're driving in or flying in. We're going to be together for a week, so we're very much looking forward to that. And we want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we're going to take a few weeks off from the YouTube channel, so we'll be back sometime in January, so just be looking for our next video.
Yeah, and this is who we take care of now. There's
Lizzie,
the deuce.
Put your tongue in, Lizzie.
Yay, Lizzie. Anyway, thank you guys. You can like, subscribe, comment, and it's been a fun journey. We thank you guys for joining in with us, and we look forward to 2023.